tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is actress Jeanie Hackett and artist George Ernstson. Jeanie Hackett was born and raised in Pennsylvania. She went to New York University, and she followed her career goal to the stage, TV, and film, all the time studying. She studied at Circle in the Square, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and at the Williamstown Theater. Must have been pretty excited at Williamstown because you were cast by Tennessee Williams for a play.
Oh my God.
How did that happen?
It was unbelievable. Well, I was at Williamstown when we did something called Tennessee Williams, A Celebration. We did a 6-hour show based on all the plays of Tennessee Williams, scenes from all the plays. And right after that, he cast me in the opening play in his new theater in Key West called Vieux Carré. It was my first professional job. Can you imagine?
No.
I want to cry just thinking about it right now.
So you talk about a break. That's the break, right?
It was incredible. And then my first Broadway play was a Tennessee Williams play. I did A Streetcar Named Desire with Blythe Danner.
But that was many years later.
Many years later.
What a great coincidence.
I know. It gives me chills just to
Isn't that
talk
great?
about it.
And the Blythe Danner, when Blythe Danner was in it, was in what year? 2002?
No. That was in 1992.
Oh, 1992
yes,
when she
yes,
did it.
when Blythe Danner
But then
did
when you were at Williams...
When I was at Williamstown, I was a very young actress. Let's not give dates.
What dates it is? Well, you wrote a book about the festival.
I did write a book about the festival called The Actors Check-Off.
Why did you write about the festival?
Nikos Zacharopoulos was, in my mind, one of the great directors of all time. And over a period of 20 years at the Williamstown Theater Festival, he created an American vocabulary for doing Chekhov. A way, the Brits were doing it, and it was moody, and it was about history. And in America, it was very, very farcical and very overly funny. And Nikos merged these two traditions with some of the best actors in the land. Blythe Danner, Olympia Dukakis, Chris Walken, Amy Irving, Colleen Dewhurst.
Were you there during all this time?
I was there during all that time. I was a young non-equity actress, and in my young non-equity group were Kate Burton and Jane Kaczmarek and Christopher Plummer's daughter, Amanda Plummer. I mean, it was such a great group of young people.
You were all studying, working together?
We were studying, we were playing small parts on the main stage.
Were you doing sets, lighting?
We didn't have to. There was 120 apprentices that did sets, lighting, and stuff like that. We were this little elite group of about 18, young people who we cooked the meal. The midnight meal for the apprentices building the set. That was our job.
That's how great it was.
So it was
we
wonderful.
get Michael Ritchie, who was at Williamstown.
Yes, an old friend, actually the stage manager on Streetcar when I did it in New York.
I say we get him at the Center Theater Group.
Yes, we do. We get him at the Mike Taper Forum.
Right.
And he is going to be thrilling. He knows everyone on the planet. He has such great taste. And he's really made for this job.
The interesting thing about what you've done, I mean, from Tennessee Williams, and your whole love is Chekhov, obviously, because I think you're just passionate about it. But you've done lots of California theater. You've been at the Odyssey, the Cannon, the South Coast Plaza, South Coast Rep.
Yeah.
South Coast Plaza. You were probably there shopping,
I
too.
was shopping every day. Absolutely.
Pasadena Playhouse.
Yes.
But doing different things.
Yes. I came out here for a life change. It wasn't for career reasons. I love living out here. And I feel like I spent the last, 10 years that I've lived here trying to figure out how does theater work here? Because it's a different world for theater, and especially for classical theater.
Classical theater is different. That's why was so interested in talking to you, because, as I mentioned, all those other stages don't do classical. Well, they do classical, but not the way your approach is. Because your approach, I mean, you teach, you train, you act, you do everything. So tell us about the Antius Company. Is that what it's called?
Well, yes, the Antius Company started out as the Mark Taper Forum's classical theater project.
Oh, it did.
It did.
Which is good, because that means they were interested in classical drama.
Absolutely. And they pulled together LA's top classical theater artists, which are also people you see on television and film all the time, but people that really had a deep love for doing classical theater. And our first production was at the Taper, a Chekhov play, an obscure Chekhov play called The Wood Demon. But when it became clear to us that the Taper wasn't going to do a classical play every year, artistic director Dakin Matthews, who founded the company, decided that we would move off on our own and start producing, you know, our own plays. And we had a huge success a couple of years, and we've done several plays over the years. But really what we do is get together with these terrific actors, and we can spend 6 months working on Coriolanus just by ourselves.
Where do you get together?
We get together at our new home in North Hollywood.
Where is that?
It's 4916 Vineland on Vineland. We have...
So it's a theater?
It's a theater complex, and we hope it's going to be a whole cultural center.
Really?
We have a 46-seat studio theater right now.
Good.
We have a shell of a building that's going to be our main stage. There's a place for a cafe. We have a training program for emerging professional artists in the classics. It's a family of people that love the same thing. And guess what? Across the board in the entertainment industry, Jonathan Lynn, who directed My Cousin Vinny and the whole 9 yards, he's the head of our artistic advisory board. He's directed classical theater in London. That's his route too.
So you think
we all get together and
this classical training is very important for a stage actor?
Absolutely. I mean, why is it that Daniel Day-Lewis and Nicole Kidman and the Aussies and the Brits are being nominated for all the Academy Awards?
They know
it's
how to
because
act.
they've had this training. It's because they started out working on the kind of material that demands so much of you. You know, I coach a lot of actors for film and television.
You're an acting coach, so is that where you coach for television and
I coach film. I have a wonderful young actor testing for a pilot today, actually. But you get that material, and that material uses this much of who you are.
But how can you, when you teach somebody, a person who's going out to test for a pilot, you can't teach them everything that you know about the classics. How do you get them to pull out?
I don't, but I can help them be better actors because I know how I have dealt with classical plays.
I see.
I can help them stretch themselves and use them, I hope,
Yeah.
in a different way. And you know, that's why we're all in the Antius Company, because television and film doesn't allow us enough range. So we go back to our roots. And now I'm so excited to say we're producing our first play at our new home.
Is that right?
It's called Chekhov ×4.
I have that little
there's
brochure
the card
here.
right there. And we have received Critics' Choice from the LA Times, the Weekly, Backstage West, where it's such a wonderful success for our company and our members. And
how do you get into your company?
well, it's hard. We don't audition.
You don't audition?
We do not audition. For our school, we audition.
And
for the
do you teach in
Antaeus
the
Academy, yes.
Okay.
We do audition young emerging actors for the school. But for company membership, you really have to, you kind of have to be known in a way. You know.
But somebody who's known doesn't necessarily mean they've had like your training at the Royal Academy or you've been at Williamstown.
They're known through the theaters, through the classical theater group.
Oh, through that way. So that you know they have a quality about their abilities.
Well, we know their resume, we know what they've done. Recently, Ari Gross, who, you know, as you might remember, was on the Ellen DeGeneres show for years, was in Minority Report.
He's a director. He directs.
No, he's not. He ran Stages Theater.
Yes,
he was the artistic director of Stages. Ari, who's a wonderful actor who goes from film to film, you know, through some mutual friends, said, hey, I'm interested in coming in. Well, we all knew his work. We'd seen him on stage. We were so delighted to welcome him into the company because he was someone who shared the same value system that
Will
we
this
had.
help him, I mean, not him particular, but somebody of his ability, will this help him stretch and learn new things?
Yes, this will help him. I feel like if you can do Shakespeare, you can do anything with language. If you can do Chekhov, you can do anything with behavior.
So who else will you produce there? You just mentioned Shakespeare.
We hope to produce Shakespeare, but not in a 42-seat theater. We have a fabulous new play that's ready to go. It's a new play about period theme called Peripalas, about Brits, Americans, and Turks in Turkey at the Peripalas Hotel in the 1920s. It's a gem of a play, and if we just had a big enough space, we'd do it.
That sounds very interesting.
It's fascinating. We also like to do new classics. We're going to do, in our May Fest that's coming up, which is the whole month of May, we do like 12 different projects and workshop. We're doing David Mamet's Boston Marriage, which is a period piece,
right.
But it's a new play.
But it's new, right.
So
well, David lives in LA now. Will he come out and check it out?
I so hope so. I'm very, very
Or have his wife play the lead.
Well, she'd have to get into the company first.
Sorry, Rebecca Pigeon.
Well, she's a good actress.
She is very good.
Welcome.
But is that kind of the way you do things?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we invite new people in to guest with us in a reading.
That's what
and
I was
something like that.
yeah.
Then they get to know the company gets to know them, and then we invite them to become, you know, a member of the company. It's a wonderfully exciting home for actors who in LA are spread so thin. They come here to touch their inspiration. The thing that they started with that made them want to be actors was working on this kind of material.
I can't imagine all the work you've done and being so involved that you wrote that first book. You wrote another book called Actors Chekhov.
Yes, I did.
Is that to help people know about Chekhov or how to act it or what?
What happened at Williamstown was so extraordinary that I wanted to share it. And so I interviewed a whole range of actors about how they worked on Chekhov at Williamstown.
Oh, how great.
Well, I get letters now from little colleges in Arkansas saying, we just did the Cherry Orchard and used your book. It's so amazing that I've been able to, and it's not about me, it's about the work of Nikos and these brilliant actors. I've been able to spread this throughout the country. And I do seminars at various universities and things like that.
And you still do film?
Yes. I'm going to be in the new Henry Jaglom film called Going Shopping. That's supposed to come out in a couple of months.
But Henry Jaglom is, I think he's a brilliant director. I love those movies. So I
do
would
too.
really love to see you in that movie. But did you have total free reign?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, he sets up the circumstances, but he's really dying to, you know, for you to come up with your own uniqueness.
And it seems like that would be great for you because that's what the depth that you want to get to, you can create those characters.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm more comfortable as a theater actress, I'm more comfortable with a script. But I found it a nice challenge to work with Mr. Jaglom in that way. It was a really, really wonderful challenge.
And you continue doing TV? You do a lot of TV, I know.
Yes, I just did an episode of Charmed, and I really enjoyed doing TV, although, you know, you can play the same lawyer over and over and over.
Oh, that's one of your rules. Do the same people go to audition?
Yeah.
That you see over and over?
You see the same people at auditions. You know, I love doing television, and I certainly love the benefits that come from it. But boy, the work we're doing at NTS, that's why we do it. So we have actors in our show, major Broadway stars, Harry Groener, who was in About Schmidt, Angela Goethals, who's had several different series, was in Jerry Maguire. All of these people are really, they've been there every night too. You know, they make their television and film schedules adhere to their play schedules where they're making $7 a night.
Because it's their love.
Because it's their love, and
that's what your passion about.
I know, it's so exciting that this company that's been in existence for 10 years finally has a home, and finally, you know, we're producing there. So
I'm so glad you came on and told us about it.
I'm so glad to be here too. Thank you so much. I couldn't have had more fun.
Thanks, Jeanie Hackett.
Thank you.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with George Ernstson, the artist who made these beautiful cylinders on the set.
Gorgeous.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back. Welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Artist George Ernstson was born in Germany and raised in San Francisco. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Fine Arts from San Francisco State University and a Master's in Sculpture from UC Berkeley. His work has been exhibited in galleries throughout our state. Do you think an artist has to go to school in fine arts and sculpture, that'll help him do both of them? Help him be an artist in both fields? Because you did fine arts first and then you went into sculpture.
Well, I actually started out in sculpture and got interested in what was happening in the plastics technology building across the hall.
So what happened?
Because that sweet smell of resin would come through, and I go, what are those guys doing over there wearing these smocks, and they have little containers, and resin cures at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and the sculpture department was making sculpture out of coat hangers and plaster and jute, and I'm saying, you know, this is not...
Is that what you wanted?
No, that's not what I wanted, so I much prefer the more kind of scientific, if that's the right word, industrial edge, and that's where I actually kind of hung out most of the time when I was at San Francisco State.
Was it? It seemed like, though, that sounded like a chemistry building going on there.
It was very interesting. I don't think they teach that anymore. I mean, it was like, a lot of schools have changed. UC Berkeley does not have an art department anymore.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because you had great people that you studied with.
Yes, I did.
Ceramus, Ron Nagel.
Ron Nagel
Pete Volkus.
Peter Volkus, the titan of the UC the art department,
and they worked in clay, though. Were you working in clay at the time?
No, I was always lurking around in the chemical departments.
Oh, you were.
Resin, and they had a vacuum forming department, and Harold Paris ran that, and he would. That's how I was introduced to vacuum forming, and it's plastic. Plexiglass that gets heated to a certain temperature, and you have a mold, and air sucks it down, and the image comes out.
Would it be like this?
Well, actually, this is the very hard way to make what you could do with the vacuum forming machine.
Hold that up, because I think that seems to me like it would be out of a mold. Is it?
It could be, yeah.
Because show the back of it.
This is.
But that's not how you made that.
No, this is made very traditionally. It's made from wood.
Oh, it is.
Fiberglass. Then it gets coated with about 40 coats of paint, hand sanded in between each coat.
Do you sand it in between? And
you have
keep repeating?
Yeah.
So it's like very, very smooth.
Mm-hmm. The Japanese consider a lacquer box to be complete. It needs to have 80 coats of paint.
Oh.
And that's when they call it a day. That's it. 80 coats and you have a piece of work.
So these three pieces that fit together or can fit separately on the wall have all been done in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you get do you purify the paint color? Is it what kind of
It's automotive paint. It's automotive paint.
Oh.
It's a two-part paint. It has it has the color and it has a catalyst in it, and that's how it hardens. And it's exactly like when you go out and buy an Escalade or something. It's the same finish.
It's not fired.
No, that would be clay.
It looks like it's fired.
Well, actually, I mean, at the very end, when it's like going through its drying process, I would use heat lamps to make it cure, because it has so much paint in it, and it takes roughly about a month for all the solvents to evaporate before it really dries.
Is that right?
Yeah. 'Cause it's got
So you have continued to work from that little building, that little room across the hall from where you were working, taking all those kind of formulas,
I just can't
right?
shake it out of my brain. Yeah, it's still there.
It
yeah.
seems like you love that, because look at these. These are all with different kinds of finishes too.
Well, this is something for instance, working with lacquer, it's a tricky proposition. In Germany, where they paint, all great car manufacturers have these like rain tunnels where they paint their cars in, so there's no dust and all the.
Oh, right.
There's a vacuum suction machine that sucks out any dust. And for instance, you're painting one of these at midnight. You're giving it the last coat, the 6th coat of paint, and an eyelash drops into it.
And it ruins it?
It ruins the whole thing, and you're running for the tweezers, and by the time you get to it, it's just gone. So now you have to wait for 6 days for it to dry before you can even touch it. So,
oh, that's interesting, because I was talking to another artist who worked at the Ferrari factory, and she said she was in this dust-free environment. That's what you're talking about.
yeah, it's very,
And
very
these
critical.
are the same kind
Yeah.
of, the same way?
Yeah, it's the same way. It's done the same way, but there's something I learned from Picasso a long time ago. He would never stir up dust. He would never allow his house cleaner to stir up any dust. You could not sweep, you could not vacuum, and this is what happens when you vacuum or sweep, dust rises, and it's going to come down in 3 days eventually with gravity. So with good luck, you never clean your spray booth out. I mean, that's the way mine was. But anyway, after having a lot of close calls, very cancerogenic, the fiberglass, the lacquer, 3 days later you can still smell it coming through your skin. I have always been fond of aluminum, and in the 40s and 50s they used to make picnic ware.
We talked about that too.
Yeah.
Those glasses,
Very
cups,
brightly colored cups and
That's
dishes.
That's what this reminded me of.
And I was just absolutely fascinated with the colors and the
Aluminum,
material.
right?
Yeah, aluminum. And the first piece I ever tried to anodize was like a large piece when I was at UC Berkeley as a student, and I had it drawn up with an engineer in the engineering department, and I took it to an anodization factory in Berkeley, and they didn't have a tank that was 25 feet long.
Oh, because it was so big. So
Yeah.
what'd you do?
So I just was despondent, and I said, well, I guess I have to find some other medium to work in. And then, like 20 years later now, revisited, I have a place where I work at in San Jose, California, that has a great anodization plant, and the owner of it is actually an artist himself. And
So what does this start out as? Just plain silver colored aluminum?
yeah, it's extruded in aluminum factories.
Can I hold one of
Sure,
these?
please.
Am I strong enough? I'm going to hold
They're
this
very
like
light.
this.
Well, that's the beauty of aluminum. It's very, very light.
It can go on the wall like this too, can't it?
They hang horizontally, vertically.
So tell us what happens. It starts out silver.
It starts out like very, very just terrible looking stuff, and you have to be very selective because aluminum's soft. If it's damaged in shipping, you'll find little dents or scratches. So I go to a factory, 40,000 square foot factory, and I pick out, these sections come in 24-foot sections, and you find the best material you can, and you cut out a part that has a bump in it or a dent in it or something, and then
I'm showing the back of this because this is how it hangs on the wall, right?
that's the hanging
The
linear
mechanism
part.
that you've done.
Yeah, there's a little
So-
hook that goes on the wall and that applies on top of it. And it can be hung both horizontally and vertically. And just recently, I was asked to donate a piece to the Cancer Foundation here at UCLA. And they don't have wall space to hang these on. So we decided to use the backs, the cutout you just showed, and put it on a pedestal.
Oh, great idea.
So-
Well, we've used them in this kind of way here. I mean, making this garden of
So now they
these
go three ways:
tubes.
vertical, horizontal, and pedestal. So
And did you devise the pedestal?
it was a spur of the moment thing.
Was
As a matter
it?
of fact, yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, so that worked out great. So is there any relationship between these two things, like this kind of work and this kind of work?
Well, color has always been important to me. I mean, color is something that I just, it's like looking at jelly beans, which one's your favorite, or M&Ms or something. I just love color. And
I saw these ripples at your studio, which Axiom Arts on Santa Monica Boulevard near Fairfax. And it was, I don't know, variations of color. It looked like the ocean moving along in different colors. How do you get that kind of an effect? These are solid colors, but how would you get something that varies?
Well, this was kind of a homage to Ellsworth Kelly, you know, just red, yellow, blue, and green. Which, we don't have the blue. And actually I had a turquoise one, so it's a slight off homage, but these are just primary colors. And in lacquer you can do iridescent things. I do things in like, you know, pearl, and like, you know, pearlescent colors. So, and then there's colors that actually, as you walk by these, that will change as you walk.
I know, they're
and
just
I think
beautiful.
You saw a piece that you were talking about.
Because that building that you're in is really a historic building. It was first Nick Wilder's studio, and then Jim Corcoran had a gallery in there.
Yes.
And it just lends itself to your work so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
And it must be difficult, though, to be the artist and to also be up there as a dealer part of the time.
Yeah. That's what is the, I don't know, catch-22. I never, you know, quite knew what that term meant, and I still don't. But it's something like that. Yeah. It's. I prefer to be an artist and a dealer. But I had an opportunity to take this space. It's about 2,500 square feet, and really display my work. I have 55 pieces on display, and they have a chance to all communicate and see them all in one group. And I couldn't resist it.
No, it's just, it's really the perfect space. And I know music makes such a difference in your work too, that you work with music and with your artwork together. So that's a perfect place to enhance that.
Yeah, yeah.
What other elements come into that?
Well, there's a variety of things on display. I have some older pieces. These are about 10 years old, and you can see the interest in color throughout.
That's right. And then you can see the iridescence, which I love.
Yeah,
And then the round pieces that are mounted on the wall.
Right.
Well, I mean, you just have to go see it. They're beautiful.
Well,
George, thank you so much for bringing your work and putting it on the set today.
Well, thank you for having me.
And explaining some of this, because it's really difficult to see, you know, you want to touch it, you want to feel it. And thanks.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles, and keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, and we'll see you next time.